It was supposed to be her biggest fashion moment yet, a symbol of how far she'd come from filming vlogs in her bedroom to walking the most prestigious red carpet in the world. But within hours, that dream turned into one of the biggest internet firestorms of her career. At the 2022 Met Gala, Emma Chamberlain walked the carpet in a stunning Louis Vuitton look, custom-made, perfectly tailored, and paired with one jaw-dropping piece of jewelry, a massive diamond necklace from Cartier. Cameras flashed, fans cheered, and social media lit up. It was elegant, it was expensive. It was Emma's arrival into fashion royalty. But the next morning, everything changed. Across Twitter, Reddit, and TikTok, users began posting the same image, that very same necklace, alongside photos of it from the early 1900s. It wasn't just any necklace. It was the Patiala necklace, once owned by an Indian Maharaja, a piece that had disappeared during India's colonial period. The revelation spread fast, and the reaction was immediate. People weren't just talking about diamonds anymore. They were talking about history, power, and colonialism. Thousands accused Cartier of glamorizing a relic tied to the exploitation of India under British rule. And Emma? She was suddenly right in the middle of it. The tweets grew harsher by the hour. Why is Emma Chamberlain wearing stolen heritage? One viral post asked. Others demanded Cartier apologize. On Reddit, whole threads broke down the necklace's past. How it had been commissioned in 1928, lost after India's independence, and later reassembled by Cartier decades later. The situation spiraled so quickly that even people outside of fashion were weighing in. Some said Emma had no idea what she was wearing, that she was just doing her job as Cartier's ambassador. Others argued that ignorance wasn't an excuse, that when you wear something with that kind of history, you carry its story, whether you mean to or not. Cartier eventually clarified that the necklace had been recovered and restored by their own archives, legally owned and lent to Emma as part of the collaboration. But the damage was already done. The Met Gala moment that should have cemented her as a fashion icon had turned into a lesson about cultural sensitivity in the age of social media. And Emma? She stayed silent. No tweet, no notes, app apology, no statement. Instead, she went on with her work, brand deals, her podcast, Chamberlain Coffee, as fans and critics debated whether silence meant professionalism or avoidance. But here's the thing. The controversy said less about Emma herself and more about how powerful her image had become. A YouTuber turned cultural figure could now spark global debates about colonial history simply by wearing a necklace. In the end, the Cartier incident wasn't just about jewelry, it was about perspective, how fame transforms everything, even the things you don't mean to say. For Emma, it was a reminder that when millions of eyes are on you, every detail, even the ones hanging around your neck, can become a statement. But this wasn't the only time a small detail would spiral into a massive controversy. It started with one shocking screenshot, and by the end of the day, the internet was accusing Emma Chamberlain of trying to sell her friendship for $10,000. The date was April 2023. Emma was on top of the world. Chamberlain Coffee was booming, her podcast was thriving, and she just made another Met Gala appearance that had fans calling her the Queen of Gen Z chic. Everything was going right, until someone stumbled across something strange on her website. A listing appeared in the Chamberlain Coffee online store, and it wasn't for a latte mix, or a mug, or any cute new merch. It was for a personal thank you DM from Emma Chamberlain, priced at $10,000. $10,000. Within minutes, screenshots were everywhere. Twitter exploded. Reddit lit up. TikTok started popping up by the second. Dramatic readings of the listing. People pretending to buy it. Influencers reacting in disbelief. Is Emma really selling DMs now? One tweet read, $10,000 for a message? Girl, I better get stock options too. Another joked. But soon the tone shifted from jokes to anger. People accused Emma of being out of touch, saying she'd lost touch with the audience that once saw her as the most relatable YouTuber in the world. Fans who had followed her since the days of editing in her bedroom now felt betrayed. The phrase, selling authenticity, trended for hours. For several tense hours, nobody knew if it was real. The listing looked official. It was on her verified store, complete with a product photo, description, and a buy now button. Some even claimed they had added it to their cart. Then, finally, Emma's team broke the silence. In a statement to The Independent, her management explained that the $10,000 DM listing was a technical error, part of an internal test that was never meant to go live. They said it had been created by a web developer as a placeholder during a site redesign, and somehow it accidentally became visible to the public. The damage, though, was already done. Even after the explanation, people weren't convinced. Some fans believed it was a publicity stunt, an intentional mistake designed to go viral and get everyone talking about Chamberlain coffee. Others defended her, saying it was obviously just a glitch and that people were overreacting. Emma herself stayed mostly quiet, only lightly addressing the drama later by saying she was mortified when she saw what had happened. But the story had already taken on a life of its own. For weeks, $10,000 DM became shorthand for influencer excess, a perfect meme for how out of control social media fame could look. Even other creators joined in, parodying the scandal. But behind the laughter, the controversy said something deeper about fame in the digital age. When you build a brand on being relatable, even a small slip, even a website glitch, can turn into a credibility crisis. For Emma Chamberlain, it was a harsh reminder that in the influencer economy, authenticity isn't just part of your image, it's your entire product. And in 2023, a single mistaken buy now button nearly cost her 10,000 times more than she ever expected. But perhaps the most controversial shift in Emma's career wasn't about what she wore or what she sold, it was about who she became. It was supposed to be a new era for Emma Chamberlain, a time to step away from the chaos of YouTube and connect with her audience in a more honest, grown-up way. But instead, that move sparked one of the most unexpected backlashes of her career. By 2021, Emma was evolving. The hyperactive editing, the coffee-fueled jump cuts, the teenage awkwardness, all of that had made her famous. But she wasn't that 17-year-old in her bedroom anymore. She wanted to talk about real things, loneliness, burnout, creativity, and growing up under the spotlight. And that's when she launched her podcast, Anything Goes. At first, fans loved it. It felt intimate, like you were on the phone with a friend at 2 a.m. Emma was raw, reflective, and funny in a different kind of way. But slowly, something changed. By mid-2022, a new wave of comments started appearing online. Reddit threads titled, "What Happened to Emma?" and "She Sounds So Detached Lately" began gaining traction. Fans who had once found comfort in her honesty now said they felt like she was talking at them instead of to them. The shift was subtle, slower pacing, more scripted moments, and a calm, almost distant tone. It wasn't angry or dramatic, it was quiet. And for many longtime followers, that quiet felt like a wall. People started comparing clips from her early YouTube days, the messy, chaotic energy that had built her empire, to the calm, minimalist version of her podcast persona. Some said she seemed too mature, others said she sounded bored, and a few accused her of becoming corporate. The irony? The podcast was supposed to show her real self. As the criticism grew, media outlets picked up the story. Screenshot Media ran a piece asking whether Emma Chamberlain had outgrown her audience. On TikTok, creators stitched clips of her podcast with captions like, "This isn't the same girl I grew up watching." And yet, through all the noise, Emma stayed remarkably composed. On an episode later that year, she finally addressed the criticism, not directly, but in her own introspective way. She said, "I'm not the same person I was at 17, and I don't think I'm supposed to be. I can't fake chaos just to feel like myself again." It wasn't an apology, it was acceptance. But it also marked a turning point in how people viewed her. The controversy over her detachment became symbolic of something bigger, the growing gap between influencers and their audiences. The fans wanted nostalgia. Emma wanted growth. And maybe that's why the backlash hit so hard, because for years, people had seen her as the embodiment of relatable. When she changed, It forced her fans to realize something uncomfortable. She'd grown up, and they had too. In the end, the podcast controversy wasn't about tone or format. It was about change itself. Emma Chamberlain didn't lose her authenticity. She just stopped performing it. And in doing so, she reminded everyone that even internet icons are allowed to evolve, even if it makes the internet a little uncomfortable. So what do these 3 controversies tell us about Emma Chamberlain? That fame isn't just about what you create, it's about what people project onto you. The necklace she wore became a symbol of colonialism. The glitch on her website became proof of greed. Her personal growth became evidence of detachment. But through it all, Emma kept moving forward. She didn't spiral, she didn't lash out, and she didn't disappear. She evolved. And maybe that's the real story here. Not that she changed, but that she refused to apologize for it. Because when you grow up in public, every choice becomes a statement. Every silence becomes a controversy. And every moment of authenticity gets debated by millions who think they know you better than you know yourself. And that's it for today's video. What do you think about Emma's journey? Was the backlash fair? Or were people expecting too much from someone just trying to grow up? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I love hearing different takes. If you enjoyed this deep dive, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't already, and share it with someone who'd find it interesting too. It really helps the channel grow, and it keeps me motivated to bring you even more wild stories like this one. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.